So guys, if you keep up to date with this channel, you'd probably know by now that Hell Let Loose Update 6 is just around the corner. In fact, it's coming out this week and it may even be out by the time you're watching this video. And look, these updates are usually pretty big anyway, but this one looks like it's going to be especially big. And this week we got even more details about it. So guys, this is BillyEatWorld again, and let's find out. Alright guys, how you going? Welcome to the video, and like I said, according to the devs, Update 6 for Hell Let Loose is going to be coming out this week on April the 30th, 2020. And so like usual, unfortunately, we don't have an exact time the patch is going to go live, but generally speaking, it's usually sometime in the mid-morning GMT. Now, the other thing that's worth mentioning is that so far the devs have never let players download patches before the time they push them live, so you will probably have to allow some time to download the update before you can actually play it. So probably a good idea if you can leave your PC on and just let Steam download it in the background whenever it does come through, so that you don't get caught out later on in the day when you actually do want to jump in to a game. Now, as far as what's going to be in the update though, well, we've covered a lot of the big ticket items in the last few videos, but here's just a quick list to bring you up to speed. Firstly, we're going to be getting the new map Hill 400 on both offensive and warfare modes, and we're going to be getting the first of the new recon vehicles, the German Puma and the US Greyhound armored cars. Now, one thing we haven't really talked about yet that we're going to take a look at today is that we're also going to be getting an overhauled ballistic system and a new improved version of the Utah beach map. And of course, there's also going to be a bunch of other smaller tweaks and fixes as well, which we'll come back and talk about on patch day, like for example, the changes to the offensive game mode and some new commander abilities. Now, like I said, the main thing I want to take a look at in this video, though, is some new info we got this week on the new ballistic system that's apparently coming this week in Update 6. And basically, just to explain this in a nutshell, if you didn't already realize, well, currently most weapons in the game use a hit scan system to detect hits, similar to what you'd see in smaller scale shooters like, for example, Call of Duty and Rainbow Six Siege. Now, a lot of people don't like hit scan straight up, but the fact is it's actually pretty reliable and fast in an online multiplayer environment. The only problem is, in really big games like Hell Let Loose, it can feel unrealistic. Because basically in a system like this, bullets hit their target instantaneously, so you don't need to lead your target or adjust for bullet drop at longer ranges, which is a really big part of what makes games like this fun for more skilled players. With that being said though, the Hell Let Loose devs were actually pretty smart in that they did decide to add bullet drop to their hit scan system, but now they've decided it's time to transition over to a fully projectile system instead, which you should already be familiar with if you've ever played games like, for example, Battlefield. Basically, every bullet is mapped and calculated as a physical object in the game world. Now, probably the most interesting thing about this is that unlike games like Battlefield, which mostly use made-up weapon stats for gameplay's sake, Hell Let Loose has decided to go a different route, and they've actually used real-world ballistics values. And not just that, but as well as the normal things like bullet drop, Hell Let Loose's new projectile system also apparently factors in things like wind resistance and projectile caliber, which should make the system feel as realistic as it can possibly be. Now, another thing worth mentioning on this is that it's not just the feel of the gunplay that's going to change in this update, but also the way you experience it audibly and visually. For example, apparently the devs have also been able to tweak the sound engine now so that you can actually hear bullets fly past your head and figure out what direction they're coming from. Also, apparently traces have been improved because with an actual physical projectile in the game world, you'll now be able to see the traces flying through the air, which is a really big thing in a game like Hell Let Loose, because in a game without spotting, well, it's things like visual and audio cues that are going to help you locate enemy targets. Finally, the last thing I want to mention on this is that according to the devs, this new projectile system is still very much a work in progress. For example, this week it'll only be the infantry weapons that'll get changed over. And not just that, but at this stage, the devs have also said that weapon damage values are going to stay the same as well, although they may revisit this later on if they feel like they need a tweak. Now also, and I kind of feel bad that I don't have more info to give you guys on this, but one more thing that devs made a quick mention of in this video is that to coincide with the Ballistics update, they're also going to be adding in a new latency compensation system, which at the end of the day might end up being more impactful than the Ballistics update itself. But we'll have to come back and talk about this after the patch comes out, because all we really know so far is that the devs have tested it in quote simulated and real latency conditions with the goal of creating a system that functions well even at 400 ping. Now, moving on, finally, the last major thing that I want to leave you guys with in this video is some details and some screenshots the devs gave us recently of the new Utah Beach overhaul. And first up, well, you might be wondering why they're even bothering to do an overhaul on this map. And basically, it's because you might remember this was one of the first post-launch maps that came out. And I've got to admit, because of that, it's looking a bit outdated compared to some of the other newer Normandy maps. So first up, what the devs were attempting to do with this overhaul is to improve the visuals to bring them up to par with those maps. Apparently, shadows and trees and clouds will look a lot better now, and they're also better optimized. And not just that, but they've also apparently done a lot of work on the way trees and bushes look as well. Apparently, they won't change quality so aggressively at longer ranges, and they'll also now react to things like the wind. Now, this might seem pretty boring, but speaking of trees, one of the things the devs pointed out was that a lot of the time players spend in-game is actually pressed up against one using it as cover. So not only have they improved the detail of trees up close on Utah Beach, but they've also switched out some for ones that more accurately reflect the species you'd find in that part of the world. Also, and this is a big one, the other thing the devs have switched out is literally every building on the map with new optimized designs that, quote, offer all new gameplay. And not just that, but like they did in the Foy overhaul, they've also added in over 2,000 pieces of micro-terrain, which should give players some more cover and squad leaders safer options to place outposts and garrisons. But anyway, guys, that just about wraps up this quick update video. So as always, make sure you let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And just remember that I can't possibly cover every single detail of these dev briefings in the one video. So if you want more information, I'll leave all the relevant links in the description. As always, though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and please feel free to check out the links in the description if you want to see any more of these videos. And also, don't forget you can find my Twitter and Discord links down there as well if you want to keep in touch. And as always, until next time, see you later, and have a good one.